It's now time for Ermanni and Edwards with Maz, live on the Woodward Sports Network. Every day, 2 to 4 p.m. Starring Ryan Ermanni, Michigan great and former NFL baller Braylon Edwards, and of course, Tom Mazaway. Let's talk some sports.
Hey, let's go! Tuesday show, March 6, 2024. Ermanni and Edwards with Maz. Woodward Sports Network, woodwardsports.com, fox2detroit.com, and the Fox local app if you are watching live. If you're watching on YouTube, part of the over 62,000 subscribers on this platform, we say hello. Hit subscribe. Tell a friend about Woodward Sports. Hit that like button as well. Tom Mazaway out today. He'll be back tomorrow. Maz coming back from celebrating his wife's birthday in Florida, so we wish her a very happy birthday. Braylon Edwards, good afternoon to you. You look like $1 million. This last couple of days has really done you pretty smooth, I would say.
I appreciate it. It was funny, like the whole thing happened on Friday, and like it's the first time I've skipped a haircut, and you know me, haircut Thursday or Friday always.
Big day.
I never miss. I love haircut Thursday, haircut Friday. It's the first time I missed, and now all of a sudden everybody wants to come to the house and interview me. I look like hell. I got the 5 o'clock shadow. So today, shout out to JD. Appreciate you. He got me in. He got me right. Feeling good. And, you know, we were doing like the last minute impromptu the thing that we do every day.
Video
promo for the show. And it kind of led into this moment right here, right now. And also, Ryan, I don't know if people forgot around the country, but last year, this current year, University of Michigan Wolverines won the national championship, so I had to remind them when my quarter zip national championship pouch. Hail to the victors.
We want to remind the people that Michigan did win the national championship. Not sure when they're going to win it again, so we got to.
Hey, nothing wrong with that. You should zoom in on that.
Absolutely.
There it is, baby.
Looking good there. And Braylon, I have to, of course, mention the glasses. The glasses are top notch.
I appreciate that, man. This is now your first time enjoying them when Tom's not here. Tom one time enjoyed them. The terms of the glasses, that is, talking about Maz.
Pause.
Shout out to Tom Mazaway. Big pause on that one. But yeah, man, these are the clear key glasses. Pronounced key, spelled Q-U-A-Y. It's like Quay, but it's key, and they work. And
I love it.
there's no frame in them. There's no actual, what's it? Prescription. There's no prescription.
I love it, Braylon. You look good, and you look good on a day where we got a lot to talk about. We're going to get right into it. We'll start with the Detroit Lions. A couple of signings today, Braylon Edwards. Today they re-signed tight end Shane Zylstra. He suffered a knee injury in camp and was out all season. And then news within the last hour that Emmanuel Mosley is coming back, defensive back that they signed last year to a one-year deal, played 2 plays before suffering an ACL injury. He has signed a one-year deal with Detroit. I guess there's no harm in bringing him back, taking a shot, seeing what you got. But 2 players that the Lions brought back today. It appears Jerry Jacobs' days in Detroit are over. He posted on X somewhat of a goodbye to Detroit. Quote, "You must make a decision that you are going to move on from. It won't happen automatically. You will have to rise up and say, I don't care how hard this is. I don't care how disappointed I am. I'm not going to let this get the best of me. I'm moving on with my life," with 3 amen emojis, prayer emojis. So Jerry Jacobs looks like he's on his way out. Emmanuel Mosley back for another year. What's that mean to you, Bray?
Look, when the team gets good, we've talked about this. When a team gets good, they become good. They become a team that is winning divisions. They become a team that is fighting for Super Bowl rights like the Detroit Lions did last year. You're going to lose some people that help you build a thing, and Jerry Jacobs is one of those guys. But this is for the betterment of the Detroit Lions. Their secondary was one of the worst I guess you can say, pieces of the Detroit Lions last year. They got to get that better if they want to go further, and that's to the Super Bowl. So appreciate what he did, but this is the right decision by the Detroit Lions. Now, as it relates to Zylstra, you got to have tight ends. And tight ends are a very integral part of an offense, a very integral part of a team, because not only do they necessarily score touchdowns, they pass receive, but they understand formations, and they also block, which is very strong for the Detroit Lions in that running game. So bringing a tight end back that knows Ben Johnson's system, can catch passes as well as block, that's very key. Now, as it relates unto the Emmanuel Mosley move, I think it's a good move, and here's why. Emmanuel Mosley was the DB that they actually wanted to be DB1 last year. He was the defensive back that actually graded out higher than Cam Sutton. He was a guy that they were very excited about, and they thought that they were getting him, and they got him cheap price because of the ACL injury. You get him an ACL injury, he has another one, you're able to recover from that, respond from that. You bring him back. The guy can play, and it's not costing you a thing to see what he could be. Look at Odell Beckham. Odell Beckham's a guy that had 2 ACL injuries, and yet and still, this season, he was able to help the Baltimore Ravens. So I think you look at it from that. It's not costing you anything, and it's going to see what he can do because maybe he is a catalyst that can help you for a long time.
Seems to be very little risk. Plenty of reward in bringing back Mosley. If it doesn't work out, if he doesn't have it in training camp, you make the move to release him.
Also let you know how high they felt about him when they picked him up last year.
And again, if you have the opportunity, if you blow one ACL, you blow one tire, there's no doubt you can come back from that these days. You blow 2 tires, Braylon, that is a little bit of a different deal, though. I think 2 ACL injuries, one on each leg, is a much different deal than just one ACL. But we did see, and you bring up a really good point about Odell Beckham Jr. I think the year that he had, I think kind of surprised a lot of people. He had a really, really good year.
You talk about Emmanuel Mosley being younger than Odell Beckham, so that's going to play on the side of him too. But he had a really good year, made some really big catches later on in the season for the Baltimore Ravens. And I think that's what the Lions are looking on. Look, when Emmanuel Mosley got hurt, he's not going to start the season, Ryan Ermanni. Hell, he may not even play until the end of the season. You know, he may not play until January, but at least we know the Lions will be there in January. You give him time to heal, and you see what he can do. You talk about an opposite knee. It looks like he's balanced out, in my opinion, so we'll see what happens when you get him back next year. But at the end of the day, it doesn't hurt you at all to keep him. This isn't anything that's really costing you anything, especially with the extra $30 million in cap money. So it's nothing that's costing you. It's only giving you a second chance at a player that might really be a decent player in your secondary.
Yeah, no doubt. And, a couple of people in the chat have pointed out as well some Lions news. Diana Rossini from The Athletic reporting that the Lions are close to an extension with wide receiver Amon-Ra St. Brown, and that's something we mentioned yesterday. I mean, the $26 to $28 million range feels like it's about right for Amon-Ra St. Brown. You know, it should be just as much, if not a little bit more, than Mike Evans, and it should probably be less than what Justin Jefferson gets with Minnesota. And I think that $26 to $28 million price tag Amon-Ra is well deserving. He should get that money, and I think that's a home run for the Detroit Lions.
I think it's a home run for the Detroit Lions.
And Amon-Ra St. Brown, by the way.
And both things can be true, and at the same time, everybody's winning. You look at Amon-Ra St. Brown, you're talking about a guy, you can go over why he shouldn't be, as good as he is, why he shouldn't be amongst the NFL elite wide receivers, why he shouldn't be blah, blah, blah. But guess what, Ryan? He is. He is, and he's been very consistent. He has been the pillar of consistency in his first 3 years with the Detroit Lions. That's why he deserves to get paid, and the winnings that the Detroit Lions did last year, getting all the way to the NFC Championship, he's a large reason and a large part of why they were able to do that. That consistency goes a long ways, and also it's the production. It's just not a guy that's out there consistently being the best for the Detroit Lions. You look at his numbers last year, you can match them up against anybody's in the NFL. I want to say Mike Evans led the league in touchdowns last year, maybe 13. Amon-Ra was 7. But shoot, those numbers last year, wasn't a lot of receivers getting a lot of scoring a lot of touchdowns last year. So that 7 that he scored is right up in the mix of the top 6, top 7 in the NFL. But he had 1,500 yards almost. He was second team All-Pro, which is crazy. I don't know how to understand now how you make All-Pro and don't make Pro Bowl. It's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. But you're talking about a guy that has elite numbers over his first 3 years. You can stack them up, like we said yesterday, against anybody, man. And he's doing great things here in Detroit. And even in the biggest moments, the biggest games, whose name do you always hear? Amon-Ra St. Brown. Just
a flurry of activity in the NFL today. Today is the day that teams are required to place franchise tags on individual players. This is from Ari Meirov. In the last hour, the Ravens have franchise tagged Justin Madubuike. The Bucs have franchise tagged safety Antoine Winfield. Dalton Schultz has re-signed a 3-year, $36 million deal with the Houston Texans. A big part of the success of C.J. Stroud this year. Panthers have cut Hayden Hurst. Jaguars have cut safety Rashawn Jenkins and cornerback Darius Williams. We mentioned that the Lions re-signed cornerback Emmanuel Mosley, but up there as well, the Bears will franchise cornerback Jalen Johnson. That is a big deal. Jalen Johnson going to get franchised, even though this graphic says, likely to be tagged, if not extended. Yes, he is getting tagged. Winfield getting tagged. Benabukwe getting tagged. And we have yet to see what about Michael Pittman Jr., the 4 players mentioned on that graphic. Great job, Pete.
Well, great job, Pete. Ryan and Ermanni. What was the other guy that you named that wasn't on that graphic? It was
Antoine Winfield.
No, he's on the graphic.
Benabukwe.
Nope, he's on the graphic.
Dalton Schultz.
There it is, Dalton Schultz. All right, I appreciate that. Now, the reason why I asked that question is, who are the Detroit Lions in talks with right now? We just mentioned Amon-Ra St. Brown. All right, here's how you break that down. Antoine Winfield, the Bucks, did they make the playoffs last year?
Yes.
What do they want to do? They want to sign Mike Evans. They want to sign Antoine Winfield because they want to get back in that same position. You look at the Baltimore Ravens and Ndikwe. What did they do last year? They actually fell short of their goal. They should have been in the AFC Championship. They want to get right back. The Lions, Amon-Ra St. Brown, where did they go last year? They went to the NFC Championship. And then Michael Pittman. I believe the Colts were knocking at the door, if not made the playoffs. What you're seeing right now is the smart owners, the smart coaches, the smart front offices, they get it. Bring players back that help your team get the best opportunity to make it to the playoffs. It's about getting a chance to make it to the playoffs, because if you get a seat to the playoffs, then you got a chance to make it to the big dance. You're seeing smart teams and smart front offices. They're acting right now. Dalton Schultz. What did the Texans do? They surprised everybody. Not only did they make it to the playoffs, they won the division and got a home playoff game. Dalton Schultz, one of the advocate reasons on that offense. Smart front offices. They're getting players back because they want to keep this thing rolling. And
you look at the franchise tag, so many players today anyway, on the defensive side of the football getting tagged. For the New England Patriots, Kyle Duggar, the safety, he just got tagged as well. Defensive backs, safeties, corners, defensive linemen, everybody on that side of the ball. It felt like for last year was a year of the running back and wide receiver to get tagged, and now it's corners, safeties, defensive linemen getting tagged. It's the ebbs and flows of the NFL and who gets paid and who doesn't. A couple of years ago, I thought to have a $20 million receiver was pretty unique. Last year, a receiver got paid. This year, we're talking about 26, 27, 28 million, 30 million. Just the way the league works is pretty remarkable.
It's all about who's benefiting and why are you benefiting. And right now, it's a situation where you see there's not a lot of value in terms of those defensive back positions or those safety positions. So you're franchising them, but for not a lot of money. You're not franchising these guys. I mean, remember when DBs were getting paid? Can you imagine franchising a DB in 2014, 15, when Patrick Peterson and those guys were getting paid and what that money was, and Darrelle Revis in 2011, 12? Now the money's not the same, so they're jumping at it. Even the interior defensive lineman, depends on who the guy is. He's not necessarily going to be making that type of bread. If it's Aaron Donald, maybe. If it's the Commanders, who that whole situation, we couldn't even figure out who he was at the time. If it's a guy like that, but if it's just a regular guy, you may not be looking to franchise that much, and I think that's what they're seeing. They're capitalizing on franchising when it's not expensive, so they're not playing a lot.
A little bit of a end of an era in Seattle as well. Seattle releasing Jamal Adams and our guy Nino, Quandre Diggs.
The era never got started for Jamal Adams. Like, if you look at what happened with the Seattle Seahawks,
they traded 2 first-round picks and made him the highest-paid safety in the league when they traded for him.
And he finished no season. And I don't even think he made a Pro Bowl because he wasn't healthy. Like, that goes to show you, and that's one of those positions, like the running back position, safety, to start to dwindle in terms of spending the money for it, paying the money for it, because there's a lot of injuries that come with that position. I think Earl Thomas, Cam Chancellor, that Legion of Boom, they kind of started where you start watching, dang, man, they get injured a lot. Wow, those guys that operate at that pace get injured. And here's Jamal Adams, 2 first-rounders they gave the New York Jets for him, who've done nothing with that. But 2 first-rounders they gave him, and he has done nothing to show for it. So it's a crapshoot, and that's why you're seeing guys getting franchised for less money now at that position in secondary.
Josh Allen from the Jacksonville Jaguars offered a 1-year, $24 million franchise tag by the Jacksonville Jaguars. That is one of those players that I think a lot of teams around the league would have loved to have seen him get to free agency. But 1 year, $24 million for that young man, outside linebacker from the Jags, franchise tag for him today.
And that's one of those things, Ryan. Let's take a step back. Look, ladies and gentlemen, $24 million is a lot of money. $24 million is a lot of cash. It's a lot of Skrilla. It's a lot of dollar. It's the bag. You can back up the Brinks truck the whole 9 yards. But there's no guarantee in that. And that becomes the reason you see people sit out. That becomes the reason you see people have these stalemates with with the agent and the front office. $24 million is great money. It's a lot. It's all this. What if he gets injured this year? Knock on wood. What if something happens to him this year? And now he can't get the money that he'll ever be deserved, or he can't get the money that he ever could have seen if he wasn't injured. This is a tough shoot, but it's nothing he can do, Ryan, because it's called the franchise tag.
No doubt about it. And then just so whatever happens today, we will alert you as soon as we get news regarding more franchise tags or any more transactions, any more contracts in the NFL. One of the big pieces of news that
affects the Lions.
Absolutely. One of the big pieces of news that happened yesterday is the Denver Broncos. They released or will release Russell Wilson, $85 million in dead cap money. The Broncos team did release a statement on Russell Wilson. We'll get that up. They thanked him for his efforts. We spoke with Russell Wilson today to inform him of his release after the start of the league year. On behalf of the Broncos, we thank Russell for his contributions and dedication to our team and community while wishing him the best as he continues his career. As we move forward, we are focused on building the strongest team possible for the 2024 season and beyond. We are excited to improve this offseason, and we'll have the flexibility to get better through the draft in free agency. Russell Wilson with a statement of his own. Lengthy. He wished that they could have done more winning in Denver. They did not, and he thanked everybody for his time in Denver. Russell Wilson, 26 touchdowns, 9 interceptions last year. Had a really nice season. They got off to the rough start, 1-5, but we're in the thick of things as the season went on, Braylon. Where do you think Russell Wilson is right now in his career? First and foremost, just talk about Wilson and the Broncos' decision to have $85 million in dead cap money, the most ever on record in NFL history, to not be on our team. And then we'll go down the line. But just start there. If this doesn't signify that this is Sean Payton's team, I don't know what does.
The first thing I want to say is because I was in Seattle when he got drafted in 2012, just speaking on behalf of Russell Wilson, he is the personification of class. Like, Russell Wilson does not get enough credit for being the personification in class and how he's dealt with every situation, whether it was Seattle, whether it was Denver, whether it's conversations about his wife and future, whether it's Sean Payton, whether it's the locker room, he's always been classy. He's always been professional. And you have to tip your hat for this young man for that. Now, with that being said, this situation was doomed from the start, Ryan. Like, it was doomed from the start. John Elway came out before the deal was even done and said he doesn't like quarterbacks under 6 foot. Like, this is coming out as a team is about to legitimately spend $270 million upon giving up picks and players. It was doomed from the start, but just here we are thinking about Russell in this moment. This is Sean Payton's team. They bought Sean Payton in. They wanted either Sean Payton or they wanted Jim Harbaugh. They got Sean Payton last year. They got a guy who was a Super Bowl winning champion. You saw the culture he created down in New Orleans. They want that. They want a culture back. They want a winning organization. And they don't want something that's going to last for 2 years, Ryan, 3 years. They want something that they believe is going to last the test of time, once like it did under Mike Shanahan. So that's what they're trying to build. That's why you get him, and you give him the keys. $85 million in dead cap money. I don't care how much money you have. People don't become billionaires and hundreds of millionaires because they lose money, because they like losing money. This pisses them off. But at the same time, they understand why they hired Sean Payton. They understand what he's capable of doing, so they're allowing him to do that. If I'm Russell, I look at this as a blessing in disguise. I look at this as a blessing in disguise, and this is why. One, you get away from a franchise that doesn't want you. Everybody, including all the fans in Broncos in Denver Nation, Broncos Nation, let's ride. How many times you heard that joked and memed and talked about? So now you get away from a city that didn't want you. You get away from teammates that didn't necessarily want you because they felt like they spent too much money. That's not your fault, Russell.
Right. That's not going to give it back.
That's not your fault.
Right.
So you get away from that. Also,
like it's just kind of like, you know, if you're out there listening to me and you say, well, this guy sucks on Woodward Sports. Well, I'm not firing myself.
100%. 100%.
Right? I didn't hire myself, and I'm certainly not going to fire myself.
So,
you know what I mean? You think I suck, that's fine, but I got news for you. I'm not firing myself.
So you can learn to love it or change the radio dial. Simply put, learn to love it or change the radio dial.
Think you suck all I want. I'm not firing myself.
That's real. And to that point, when he sucked his worst, which was the first year under Nathaniel Hackett, he didn't get let go. He got a year under. That's very funny. Pause. He got a year under Sean Payton. Ryan, you hit the nail on it. He had 26 touchdowns last year, 9 interceptions. He was a much better version of himself. I think him getting let go or getting released under that guise, this gets him the next job. This gives him the next starting job somewhere. And I think this gives him peace of mind to get into that next situation and be able to move confidently, as opposed to if he would have got cut after last year, 2 years ago, Ryan, like the Nathaniel Hackett job, pun intended, if he would have got fired after that, he's not going to be a good quarterback. He's not going to be a number one. But I think now his mental still might be there. It might be strong enough for him to go somewhere and actually maybe even have some success.
Here's a question I want to ask you, because I think Russell Wilson is a very intriguing player, especially now. He is way more intriguing as a player than is ever before out there. And I'll tell you why. I'm going to ask you a question. If you had the option as an NFL franchise to acquire Russell Wilson or Justin Fields, what would you do? And let me tell you this. Russell Wilson, you have to give no compensation to the Denver Broncos whatsoever. You don't need to trade a 5th-round pick. You don't need to trade a 4th-round pick. You don't need to give cash considerations. You don't need to lose anything. Zero compensation acquiring Russell Wilson. The Broncos will pay Russell Wilson $39 million next year. They will pay him cash, $39 million to
cash,
not
baby.
play for them. So Russell Wilson is going to, wherever he goes, send a very team-friendly deal.
He's already at $39 million.
Because he's already at $39 million.
Yeah.
And I think, and I'm not the contract guy, so forgive me. I'm not contract guy.
It's
but
11-1.
If I say the Detroit Lions, just for instance, I want to offer you $3 million, I think then the Lions pay $3 million and the Broncos pay $36 million. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Of that $39 million. So if you're Russell Wilson, pay me the league minimum. Let the Broncos pay me. You know what I mean?
It's true.
I think that's how it works. So you get an extremely team-friendly deal. You don't have to give up any compensation, and the Broncos are paying $39 million. You got a quarterback, 26 touchdowns and 9 interceptions. Now Justin Fields, you are giving some sort of, and probably not first-round pick, but you're giving up a high-round pick, second or third for sure, I would think.
Yeah.
And then you're going to extend him a great deal. Now, if you believe that Justin Fields is that much franchise-changing better than Russell Wilson, then of course you do it. But I'm telling you, if you give me Russell Wilson for this, and you give me Justin Fields for this, that's a balancing act. I'm almost leaning towards the fact that Russell Wilson is more attractive than Justin Fields is right now.
What's my team? Like, because if I'm in a situation where I'm the San Francisco 49ers and listen, I know everybody's like, here we go, trying to displace Brock Purdy yet again. Just hear me out. If it's a situation where I'm the 49ers and I'm trying to figure out, do I have enough? I think he's enough, but also there's Russell out there. We have enough around Russell if we bring him in here. I don't think he can fail with Christian McCaffrey in the backfield. I don't think he can fail with Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, if they're able to keep those two. And then you have George Kittle, who's already under contract, and then Jennings, a wide receiver that emerged last year in the playoffs. Like,
I'll give you a team right now.
Okay.
Let me throw a couple at you.
Give me some teams, and that way it'd be a little more fun.
How about this one?
Okay.
Washington
Commanders knew they were up. Give me Justin Fields.
Okay.
Give me Justin Fields.
How about this one? Minnesota.
Give me Russell Wilson.
So different team, different situation would require a different player.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. And I believe that there's a scenario like I would take Justin over Russell because I think at the end of the day, I understand where Russell is now. He's a short quarterback that's not as fast as he was when he was escaping the pocket back in 2013, in 2014, 16, 17, when he was getting out of the pocket and being able to create those passes to lock it down the field or to ball one down the field because he was getting out of duress. Like now, he's had some injuries. He's had some hand problems. He's had some knee problems. He's not as fast as he is anymore. He still can't see over the line, but he still has a beautiful downhill ball. Like, so he has to be specially protected.
I got two more for you.
Okay.
New Orleans. They got Derek Carr.
Yeah, give me Justin Fields. Because I'm like, it's fun down there. You still got you still have Carmera down there, if you will. You add Chris Olave. Yeah, give me Justin Fields. Because at the same time, I want to sell tickets. I want to create fun. Like, neither one of them are winning the Super Bowl. Like, in my estimation, neither one of these guys are winning the Super Bowl. I think you have more fun with a young Justin Fields, and maybe something can happen from that.
Okay, here's a place I'd love to see Russell Wilson go. You ready?
Minnesota.
No.
I'm joking.
No.
You said that already.
You ready for this one? Seattle.
Going back home.
Go back to Seattle.
I don't mind it.
Go back to Seattle and play with Jackson Smith and Jigba, those two running backs.
You still got DK up there.
You got DK Metcalf
Lockett
up there.
is still hanging out. He's in year 80.
You fleeced Denver to give you up.
Go get your payback. Go pay him something back.
I mean, I think Seattle did not make the playoffs last year because Geno Smith was their quarterback.
Yeah. I think also,
you know what I mean?
Yeah. It's also a good story.
It is, and I would love to see Russell Wilson go back to Seattle. In fact, the NFL needs Russell Wilson to go back to Seattle.
You know what? You're on to something, Ryan. I'm going to tell you like this. You never forget your first. Mm-hmm. You never forget your first. Am I correct? Whatever that means to you, you never forget your first. Well, for the NFL and the Seattle Seahawks, first time they won a Super Bowl, Russell Wilson was the quarterback. Russell Wilson was a part of that Legion of Boom era. Russell Wilson ushered in those new uniforms, which I had a chance to wear in 2012. They were the bee's knees. And he still has enough juice. You might be on to something.
I love Russell Wilson in a spot that is going to take one of these quarterbacks. Like a Bo Nix, a Michael Penix, a Spencer Rattler.
He's from Seattle.
Even a JJ McCarthy to some extent.
Okay.
I would love to see Russell go play for a year or even let's just go 1 year at a time. He's getting up there. I don't know if Russell Wilson is the guy that's going to be playing at 39, 40. What is he, 36, 37 years old, 36 years
about
old?
35, 36, yeah.
I just don't know if he's that type of player. But if you could get a good year out of him, I think that would be the perfect spot for him. If you draft, like I said, maybe the Raiders. You draft.
That's an interesting one.
You draft a Michael Penix, and I have a mock draft here, which we'll do next. And in the second round,
I like that Raiders one because he's in the same division now. You have Devontae Adams as wide out. He still has Hunter Renfrow. You have Michael Mayer, the tight end from Notre Dame, and then you still have Jacoby Jones as a running back. That's not a bad space right there.
Yeah, I have a 2-round mock draft here that I'd like to go through a little bit next because I do think it's a fun conversation. But in the second round, Michael Penix Jr., quarterback from Washington, goes to the Las Vegas Raiders.
Yeah.
I think there's a perfect spot for Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
Go let that young man learn under you for 1 year. Help him along in his development. He's a second-round pick for a reason, not a top 3 guy.
Yeah.
So the pressure to play right away isn't going to be there. I think that's a great spot for Russell Wilson.
Also, he played at the University of Washington, and legitimately, you played in Seattle. So I mean, although I think he was at Indiana when Russell was last in Seattle, but there's got to be some overlay there and some easy guy to learn from. I think Russell's in the space now. Like, he's always been a good teammate or a good. Well, at least we assume a good guy. He was when I was there. a good time for him to be a teacher. I think that could be the next side of his journey.
Absolutely. So good stuff there, guys. Again, we'll keep the transactions coming in. One I missed earlier that I think many Lions fans would like to learn, that Brian Burns was tagged by Carolina. 1 year, $24 million tag for his services in Carolina for the Panthers. So
somebody was told that they can become a free agent. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Somebody was told they could become a free agent. We've been trying to figure out if this person was going to get franchised or bought back or given the deal. Somebody was told that they could be a free agent, and that person might be the person the Detroit Lions need.
We'll go there next. But first, a message from Kool-Aid over here. Wake up, Woodward, baby.
Let's go. Thank you, Rod God, man. Hey, look, Woodward Sports has a new morning show. Start your day with Wake Up Woodward, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. live on Woodward Sports. You can join myself, Detroit Kool-Aid, Flannel Sam, Broder, JB, and KG every single morning as we cover Detroit sports, all of it. Sports talk, banter, and live fan interaction, all on Detroit's #1 sports network. That is Woodward Sports.
Every year, after a cold and dreary winter, Metro Detroiters come together for two things: Tigers baseball and the best damned party in the world. A new season of Tigers baseball is here, and we're bringing in the new season as only Woodward Sports knows how. Broadcasting live from the biggest party, it's the Grand Slam Festival at the Detroit Opera House. Come party with 4,000 Detroit sports fans, starting with Wake Up Woodward and rolling into Big D Energy. This is a party you don't want to miss, with Detroit's best DJs, food trucks, and of course, shots. Get your tickets now at GrandSlamFest.com. 21 plus. See you April 5th at the Grand Slam Fest.
Stop searching for a vehicle and start finding one. Les Stanford Chevrolet Cadillac makes it easy. We harness the power of multiple dealerships and own the biggest selection of GM brands in the area to get you the car you need. With the Les Stanford Group, you'll have access to 4 different dealerships, providing you with more makes, more models, and more choices. We're connected to more than 1,000 vehicles, and with so many high-quality CPO vehicles available, you'll find new car quality at pre-owned prices. You can start and end your search at lesstanford.com today.
You smell that? That's Brad Holmes cooking, and the off-season smells good. Woodward Sports.
Walk into any Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men for an award-winning haircut experience from one of our talented stylists. Enjoy a precision haircut, hot lather neck shave, scalp and neck massage, and a hot towel treatment to top it off. Enter for your chance to win the $50,000 Perfect Bracket Challenge. With more than 25 Metro Detroit locations, there's always a Lady Jane's near you. Lady Jane's Haircut for Men, open 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. Lady Jane's, it's wicked awesome.
A ton of fun, a ton of sports, and a ton of man-meat. Welcome to the Woodward Heavyweights, live daily 5 to 7 p.m. on Woodward Sports.
Season is officially over and spring training is here right now. However, Jack Labrador is 24/7, 365 days a year. Learn how to play now on your phone at jacklabrador.gg. 2 new symbols and a franchise-changing three-point play. And remember that once you go Jack, you never go back. Go to jacklabrador.gg. And while you're playing Jack Labrador, you can play it at Big Boy, because Seafood Fest is back at Big Boy. Catch it while you can. Dive into fish and chips. Their new Parmesan crusted cod, perfectly fried clam strip platter, or a delicious fish sandwich. A Big Boy must try the new mango iced tea, the ultimate complement to their popcorn shrimp, shrimp Alfredo, or shrimp stir fry. Every day is a fish fry at Big Boy. And don't forget, every Friday night, the all-you-can-eat seafood buffet. Back to Ryan and Bray.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Pete. Couple of questions from the chat. Just to put a bow on the final segment. Russell Wilson in New England. Was there a bridge burnt in Seattle? That's from Cody.
Good question.
Mazed Up says Russell Wilson in New England. What about the Patriots? Stuff like that.
I think the big thing for me with the Patriots is, for Russell has to go to a situation where you got some playmakers, you have some protection, and you also have a good running game. So that makes it easier for him. Even when Russell was, like Brandon, am I wrong? Even when Russell was elite, Russell had to have Marshawn Lynch was there. He had to have Sidney Rice. He had to have Doug Baldwin, DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, and then Jimmy Graham. He had to have those pieces in place. Now you're talking about sending a Russell that is now in year 13, who's had a couple more injuries, not as fast as he used to be, still the same size. You're going to send him to New England with Ramondre Stevens and that being it? The cupboard is very bare in New England. I just don't think he can have any type of sustainable success coming in the space that he's in now there.
All right, Braylon, set this one up because this is, look, he's the best free agent on the board, I think.
Yeah.
And he's somebody that would make all the difference for the Detroit Lions. And I know you're talking about Chris Jones.
Yeah.
What happened with him?
100% with Chris Jones. Well, you look at it this way from Chris Jones. Last year, he was offered a 2-year extension. This is Chris Jones. This is the 3-time Super Bowl champ with the Kansas City Chiefs. He was offered a 2-year extension last year, Ryan Ermanni, for tunes of $54 million. Ryan, it was denied. He declined that offer. He ended up taking a 1-year deal. So he's already letting you know that he's not trying to give the Kansas City Chiefs any type of pay cut or any type of deal. Then he signs a 1-year, and what he's doing that 1 year, Kool-Aid? Well, he wins another Super Bowl with the Kansas City Chiefs. You would think that they already would have a deal in play. But Ryan Ermanni, he's 30 years old. He's getting older. They've gotten 3 Super Bowls out of him. You know how front office management is. I don't think they're going to be in the business, and neither does the rest of the NFL in terms of just some people that they're out there talking in terms of the front office people around the league. They don't believe that they're going to be able to get an extension done, and what that becomes, he's an open market guy. He's a guy that's going to get the free agency. This is a guy you got to pursue. Like you're talking about, what's going on with him and the Chiefs won't be what's going on with him and the Detroit Lions. He won't have the same type of concern, or it won't be the same type of, well, you owe me this. The Detroit Lions don't owe him anything, but a contract's deserving of his skill. And I think you go at the guy now. I think you tell him, like, look, he's upwards of 30 years old. He still can get it done at a high level. Maybe you're not paying this guy $20 million because you got your own Hawks to pay. But at the same time, maybe you guys work out a deal, you figure something out where you can get this guy in for 26 and a half and maybe something on the back end. But this is a place, this is the first place that you got to go, Brad Holmes, in the offseason, in the free agency pool. You got to make a dive in terms of a conversation. With Chris Jones, because he instantly, Kool-Aid, tell me if I'm wrong, he gets on that defensive line right next to Aiden Hutchinson. Everybody else becomes that much better on defense because their jobs are a lot easier. Yep. The linebacking course jobs are easy. The D-backs jobs are easier. So I think you go full on for him because he's a winner. And at the end of the day, what Detroit Lions are, the mentality, the grit, the villain, you can give me all that. No, they're winners. And I think he's one of the best winners in the NFL.
Yeah, it definitely helped to maximize this kind of Super Bowl window that the Detroit Lions are trying to capitalize on. And when you're talking about going out there, we saw them pass up on some options at last year's trade deadline. If this is a guy that you believe right now, which I do believe, if you add him to this Detroit Lions team, they instantly vault, in my opinion, to the top of the NFC. They become, in my opinion, especially
maybe the NFL.
Maybe in the NFL, especially with the rest of the draft capital, the rest of the free agency that Brad Holmes is going to cook up. This Detroit Lions team becomes very, very scary.
Is he a guy that you're willing to pay $30 million a year to? And that's really the question that you have to ask. Jeremy Fowler from ESPN says the Kansas City Chiefs could get the deal done for $28 million a year. That's their price. Kansas City. If he gets to the open market, what is his price on the open market? I would assume higher than that $27 to $28 million tag. Aaron Donald is going to make $31.6 million next year. He's the highest paid defensive tackle next year. Would it shock me if he goes over that $31 million price tag? No, but I think a fair price for Chris Jones would be about $30 million, $30 million. Now, look, that's a big number to pay somebody, but if I'm going to pay that number to anybody, it's this player. For the next 4 years specifically, this could be the anchor of your defensive line. This could be the player that makes every level of your defense better. You talk about Aiden Hutchinson as this alpha. Aiden Hutchinson would be the defensive player of the year if he played next to Chris Jones. Alex Anzalone, Jack Campbell, those two players would be all pro. You talk about the defensive backs. I know you need to sign some defensive backs. Cam Sutton would be a much better defensive back with Chris Jones
You ain't
up
lying.
front than he is now, and so would whoever you drafted at 29 or in the second round or whoever.
Yeah.
It feels like you can sign anybody, and they would be a better player if this guy is on your team. I think this is something you absolutely have to look into.
And also, Ryan, not to even cut you off, and not to there's the new $30 million extra a year.
Right.
Like, people still, in terms of Detroit Lions fans, I believe we're still operating in the space where we're still scared of spending money. Oh, wait, there's more money that we have, and we're already in the NFL tops in terms of money. Where we $48 million?
Right.
Got $48 million on the cap. Might as well say 78, because it's a new lease on life to a certain extent. So I feel like you do a 3-year deal with Chris Jones, upwards of that, and find a way to make it work, you still will be able to sign Aiden next year. You still can finish Amon-Ra St. Brown's deal this year. Guess what? Jared Goff doesn't have to get a contract this year.
Right.
He's still under contract for this season coming up. So I think when you look at it that way, it is a major move. Ryan, you always talk about the moment. You don't know how long that window is. You don't know how long, the Detroit Lions are going to be what they were in terms of number 2 in the NFC, in terms of number 4 in the NFL. How long are the Lions going to be in this space? They led the league in touchdowns last year. Now you mean to tell me we can add some defense? Now you mean to tell me our defense can actually scare some people and make it that much easier? Our same schedule is not going to be like it was last year. Last year, you look at the schedule for the Detroit Lions, with the exception of a couple games, there's a lot of easy games there for the Lions just because of how the schedule is shaped up. Newsflash, it ain't going to be that way moving forward, and you're going to need to have the most best players that you can have. And I know I made that phrase up, but you get it.
Let me put it to you like this. If you can get Chris Jones for $30 million a year, or L'Jarius Sneed at $22 million a year.
Ain't even close.
Chris Jones.
$30 million.
Right?
Yep.
Chris Jones.
100%.
And look, you can have all the defensive backs you want, and that's great, and I appreciate it. And I love Sauce Gardner. Sauce Gardner's my guy.
Detroit Kings on.
How good was Sauce Gardner this year compared to what he was a year prior?
Who?
Sauce Gardner.
Who?
Right, exactly. I don't want to say who, and I know you're just making a point. I know you're making an exaggerated point.
You know they're going to get me for it.
Right. But
yeah.
What
have you done for me lately?
What was playing ahead of Sauce Gardner in 22 was not who was playing ahead of Sauce Gardner at 23. And that makes the difference for defensive backs, unless you're Deion Sanders, unless you're Revis Island, unless you're Charles Woodson.
Yeah.
And we're not talking about Hall of Fame players here. We're talking about really solid Pro Bowl players, really good players, maybe even all pros one day. But these are the type of guys that are not out there right now.
And then, too, look, man, you break it down from this standpoint, Ryan and Kool-Aid and Pete, is you bring people that instantly make the team better. What person can make this team better the fastest? What person can add the most impact and most value to this defense? And it's Chris Jones. It's a dumb question to ask, but here it is. I ask and answer it anyway. Who can it? Who is it? It's Chris Jones. You look at what he does from a front game. He helps stop the run. That's one of the things he helps do. He's not a guy that's just only out there from time to time as an outside linebacker, rush pressure, like a TJ Watt. This guy helps stop the run. So now you got the only two aspects of the defense, run and pass. He can help stop both. In the passing game, he's knocking passes down. He's getting to the quarterback. He's altering the quarterback's feet. He's altering the quarterback's vision. He makes it a lot easier, like you said, for the DBs. Also, you create a lot of one-on-ones for the linebackers. When you got Chris Jones up there tearing up the offensive line, the center can't get out and run protection. The guard can't get out and run protection. The left tackle is supposed to pull on this passing play to the screen. He can't make that happen specifically, and now you got other defensive linemen eating. Aleem McNeil can eat right next to him. You look at insert guy on the opposite side. Is it your boy not Charles Johnson, but Justin? Excuse me, Justin. It's been so long. Justin Harris.
Oh, Josh Harris?
No,
Josh Pascal?
No, not Josh Pascal. Defensive end on the right side. HBC from Jackson State.
What's his name?
James Houston.
James Houston.
Yeah. Jesus Christ, man. It's been so long. But now you have...
Speaking of who?
Man, what? But that goes to show you how that defensive line needs help, like realistically. But everyone eats and everyone is helped in that linebacker core. Who knows what a Jack Campbell can do if you got a guy like Chris Jones in front of him? Then maybe I can take my comment back from last year and you can see him have a great career. But Chris Jones is a guy that you got to take a chance for. Like, and also, the last thing is, you know what type of person he is. I think the big thing we try to figure out, what guys can fit in here, because Brad Holmes, Dan Campbell, they like a certain type of guy, a team guy, one that's a good guy, one that's a great player. Remember when the thing was going on, it was the Chiefs versus the Jets, and remember Rodney Harrison kept talking about Zach Wilson, and he tried to bring Chris Jones, because Chris Jones had got the game-winning sack or the game-winning play, and he tried to bring Chris Jones into the foolishness. Chris Jones like, nah, I'm not going to say that about that guy. He's out there trying his best. Like, that's the type of guy Chris Jones is. Last time I checked, that sounds like a Dan Campbell type guy.
And anytime you talk about a player like Chris Jones, I cannot help, and I've said this before, and I'm going to say it a million times.
Salivate, man.
The Montez Sweat situation in Chicago. Montez Sweat gets traded to Chicago on August 31st. The point totals they gave up after Montez Sweat, you ready? 13, 26, 10, 13, 20, 16, 17, 9. They gave up more than 20 points one time in 8 games. That's winning football. And you win that way.
And you instantly see the play of players go up. Montez Sweat is one player.
And by the way, they were 5-3 after the trade.
And they were they only had 2 wins before that.
2-7 without him.
Exactly. And they won.
That's Montez Sweat.
100%. And then you see the play of the guys on defense go up. Look at what happens after. Jalen Johnson, pretty decent DB. After Montez Sweat get there, he's now all-pro to a certain extent, or he's second-team all-pro, or he's definitely made the Pro Bowl. Now he's getting paid. Now he gets franchised. You look at T.J. Edwards, who got paid last year. T.J. Edwards now look like the guy that they paid. Now will look like he deserved the money they got. You look at Tremaine Edmonds. They bought Tremaine Edmonds plays goes up. Billings plays goes up. Everybody on that defense, they responded to that because the job becomes easier when you bring in a guy that brings so much focal point. Like when you're focusing in on one player so much, you forget that these other guys are getting paid too, Ryan Amani. And some of them can actually ball.
No doubt about it, man. It is something.
Give us Chris Jones.
Right, no doubt. I mean, it just kind of excites you a little bit when
just
you
the possibility.
Just the possibility of it, because I mean, he's that good of a player. And you talk about how close are you to a Super Bowl? Are you one player away? That is the one player that I would say, if you get him, I know you're winning the Super Bowl.
You give
if there's one player, you can have one player in the NFL on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah.
Give me him. I'm saying Chris Jones.
Yeah, 100%.
That's available. That's reasonably available now.
I will go so far as say, you give me him, I know they make it to the Super Bowl. Like 1,000%, they're in the Super Bowl. They represent the NFC. I think the fun thing to think about too, though, Ryan, is before you're thinking about getting these players to the Lions, and it's so that, oh man, that'd be cool to have Chris Jones, or it'd be cool to have insert player here. No, it's cool now because you know if you get that player, you guys are now in the Super Bowl. You now know you guys are the favorite. You guys now know that you're going to win the division, you're going to win the majority of your games, or you're going to be in contention from the start and be favored in most of your games. That's the type of team you already have, but that's the type of player that he really is.
Pete, put up for me the NFL free agents list by position. And just want to give you guys a sense of who's actually out there, and especially now, some of these names will be crossed off the list as well.
I don't think I got that, but I'll get one for you.
Okay,
I got one for you.
It's fine. It's just on the rundown you gave me. So
did I? I must have missed that one. Sorry, bro. Oh yeah, that was the website. That was a website for you to look at, bro.
No, it was from Ari Mayrov. It was a tweet from Ari Mayrov. Either way, don't worry about it. I just wanted to highlight for you I don't want to say how dire I mean, you can help yourself in free agent, but I think like the lack of top end talent this free agent cycle too, of guys that can really help you, guys that can really make a superstar studded difference. Those guys are few and far between. There's like a handful of guys. Everybody else is.
It's been like the last couple of years.
Supporting player. Well, because now if you look at just look at the guys that got tagged today. I mean, Jalen Johnson, Kyle Duggar, Josh Allen, Justin Medebukwe, Antoine Winfield.
That's it.
Brian Burns. These are the guys that got tagged today. All those good players are just, wiped off the list when it comes to players at positions that you need. I mean, Jalen Johnson, can you imagine how much money he would have had if he hit the open market?
And it goes back to what we're talking about. Look, the Chicago Bears last year, in the second half of that season, they sniffed the playoffs. Now, they weren't going to make the playoffs, but what I mean by sniff it, they see what it takes to win. They went 5 out of 3. They won some games. In fact, they beat the Detroit Lions last time I checked. So the other teams made the playoffs. Teams aren't stupid anymore. They're not giving away players and trying to say, oh, well, we can get 2 guys for him, or we can possibly draft a guy like him. Guys are like, look, man, we need him. He got us to the playoffs last year. He's an intricate part of what we're doing, and they're keeping those guys. That's what the I guess the trend is that we're noticing this free agent cycle, Ryan. Guys like, nah, we know what got us to the playoffs, and we want to get past that mark. We got to keep these players and add something to it.
No doubt. Braylon, I want to talk some quarterbacks here for the remainder of the hour, and we'll bleed over into the next hour as well. First quarterback I want to start with is Kirk Cousins. Because really interesting situation. Where does he go? Minnesota, or is this Atlanta thing heating up? And Kirk Cousins possibly on the move to Atlanta. His wife is from Georgia, and there is some consideration pro football talk that Kirk Cousins is seriously considered moving his family to Atlanta. Quote, we can get into the specifics for now, but we're getting very credible indications that Cousins is seriously considered moving his family to Atlanta, which would mean obviously that he'd be signing with the Falcons. That feels like a really solid spot for Kirk Cousins. Feels like a solid signing for the Atlanta Falcons. And again, you don't have to give anything up if you're trying to get a Justin Fields. If you're in go for it now mode with a new coach in Atlanta, you're winning that division probably next year with Kirk Cousins as your quarterback.
Yeah, definitely be interesting. I mean, you look at how the division shapes up. It's Carolina Panthers, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers right now will probably have the edge over that division.
At 9-8, they won that division last year.
This is true, and you see what they've done. They had to get rid of some players to keep some players, so they're not going to be the same team they were. At the Atlanta Falcons, not a bad move. I mean, I'm still iffy on it. I will never tell you that I am not iffy on a guy that will be 36 when the season starts, just towards Achilles. You're talking about a major injury, one of the major 3 that they say you don't want to have. He's in year 12, 23, so he's in year 14 coming up. A lot of years under that tire, a lot of tread on those wheels. Now, with that being said, what did they draft first last year? They drafted Bijan Robinson, the guy that you wanted for the Detroit Lions. So they have a running game. They got a running back, which will help a quarterback. So I think for them, they're just trying to get some stability. Mm-hmm. I think you get stability. You have a running back. You have Drake London, who they drafted 2 years ago. You still have Evan Pitts, tight end at 1,000 yards and disappeared because of how they ran the offense. You still got some players there. But I think the fact that they have a Bijan Robinson is why they want to go with a guy like Kirk Cousins. And look, you know what Kurt is. He's professional. He's definitely a team leader. And everywhere he goes, he's going to find 5,000 yards. He's going to find you upwards of 32 touchdowns. He's going to find you some wins, and not necessarily on prime time, but he is a stable quarterback for a team that's trying to create some stability in a conference that legitimately, Ryan, last year was 9-8 won. The year before that, 8-9 won, and the year before that, I believe 10-7 won. So you're talking about it's not necessarily the hardest thing to do is to win the NFC South.
And you do have some pieces. You know, you've got Kyle Pitts as a wide receiver, tight end.
Kyle Pitts. I said
you've
Evan
got
Pitts.
Drake London at wide receiver. You've got Van Jefferson, a Super Bowl champion. You do have some pieces there to throw to.
Algiers is the other running back that's really good as well.
Absolutely.
Tyler Algiers.
Absolutely. That's a nice team, Atlanta.
It is. It's for me, Ryan. It's just asking a question. 36 years old, tore his Achilles, and now you're telling him to another field turf team. Like, that's a real question. If people are gonna ask me why am I paying Chris Jones, who's 30 years old now, like, why is it such an age when it's other positions? 30 years old. Oh my God, why would you pay him that at 30 years old? A wide receiver is 32. Oh, you're gonna pay Mike Evans that at 30. How many years old is he? You're gonna pay him this? Meanwhile, you're willing to pay a quarterback who's 36 when the season started, who just tore his Achilles, who's coming up on year 14. I couldn't do it.
I think it's interesting to really understand what some of these franchises are thinking. Like, for instance, if you're Atlanta, you have the 8th pick in the draft. Do you draft a quarterback? You could probably get a good quarterback in the top 10.
And pick up Kirk Cousins?
No. Or do you go get a guy like Kirk Cousins for 2 years and then try to figure it out in another 2 years? Because as we've seen in the NFL, it's become the norm now, where you have quarterbacks available every single year. From Tom Brady to Matt Stafford to Russell Wilson to Aaron Rodgers to Kirk Cousins, back to Russell Wilson. You're talking about 5 straight years of a plethora of quarterbacks being available. And, it didn't work out. It didn't really work out in New Orleans. But I think a lot of eyes were opened up, too, when Derek Carr was made available. You can get a stopgap quarterback in this league. You don't have to draft the 4th or 5th best quarterback in any draft and try to make it work with that guy when I can make this guy work for 2 years.
Yeah.
And then figure it out at that point. Because why am I taking the 4th or 5th quarterback in a draft? How many times in the history of the draft have we seen that player work out to be a 10 to 12 year franchise quarterback?
Yeah, I think the real thing
is very rare.
Yeah, you're right. I think the big thing that you said everything except the word is options. I think now people have so many more options. Like, if you're a front office, if you're a head coach, if you're a head coach, you're a front office, an owner, you have so many different options or ways in which you can go about doing a thing. Like, you can just wait for it not to work with a veteran quarterback and a team. You can look at a young quarterback who's coming up on year 4, year 5, i.e. Justin Fields, and say, look, it's not working there for him, but it can work here for him here. Or you're like, hey, maybe we do draft the quarterback in the 2nd and 3rd round and figure out how that goes. There's so many different options, and there's so many more different ways to go about it. You can skin a cat, as they used to say, a bunch of different ways now in the NFL. And
I'm not sure you're allowed to say that anymore.
You can't say anything anymore. You can't say you can't say anything
I'm
anymore.
Just kidding,
I didn't know, man.
Hey, you're in a safe space here, Braylon.
Hey, look,
you
man. Look, don't be trying to take my hero ship.
Right.
We're trying to take my hero ship.
Yesterday's hero ain't today's hero.
Man, I'm not a hero anymore. I'm behind the 8 ball already. Jesus Christ.
Oh, guys, we're going to take
can
a break.
Can we say Jesus?
Yes, you can.
Okay,
if Kirk Cousins leaves Minnesota, who will replace him at quarterback for Minnesota? Interesting name out there today. We'll have that for you coming up next. But first, a message from us here at woodwardsports.com. Click on the shop tab. We've got some great new, affordable, comfortable Detroit sports wearables. Hats, hoodies, tees, everything in between. All ages, men, women, kids as well. Head on over to woodwardsports.com, click on shop, and get your gear today. And we would like to tell you about Les Stanford Chevrolet Cadillac Buick GMC. Les Stanford has expanded into Ferndale with Les Stanford Buick GMC. They offer the same great service that customers have come to know and trust. Located in Ferndale on Woodward Avenue, just south of 9 Mile. And if you're looking for a Chevy or a Cadillac, Les Stanford in Dearborn, where they have been on Michigan Avenue for over 55 years. You can find the brand you want. All GM brands under one umbrella. LesStanford.com, LesStanford.com.
Together, let's drive.
Let's drive.
Every year, after a cold and dreary winter, Metro Detroiters come together for 2 things: Tigers baseball and the best damned party in the world. A new season of Tigers baseball is here, and we're bringing in the new season as only Woodward Sports knows how. Broadcasting live from the biggest party. It's the Grand Slam Festival at the Detroit Opera House. Come party party with 4,000 Detroit sports fans, starting with Wake Up Woodward and rolling into Big D Energy. This is a party you don't want to miss, with Detroit's best DJs, food trucks, and of course, shots. Get your tickets now at GrandSlamFest.com. 21 plus. See you April 5th at the Grand Slam Fest.
Where's the most convenient place to get that big fitness energy?
It's Planet Fitness.
Join today for just $1 down, $10 a month. With over 2,400 locations and equipment for every workout, you can get in, get energized, and get going. And with free fitness training and most clubs open 24 hours, everyone belongs in the judgment-free zone. So join today for $1 down, $10 a month, no commitment, cancel anytime.
Woodward Avenue, the first paved road in America. Woodward Sports, the first sports network born in Detroit and made for Detroit.
Big Boy Seafood Fest is sailing in with a fresh catch of favorites. Dive into fish and chips, our new palm-crusted cod, perfectly fried clam shrimp platter, or a delicious fish sandwich. Try our new mango iced tea, the ultimate complement to our popcorn shrimp, our all-new fried pickles, shrimp alfredo, or shrimp stir-fry. Experience all the sea has to offer every Friday night with our all-you-can-eat seafood buffet. Every day is a fish fry, only at Big Boy.
We don't like to brag that we are the toughest sports network in Detroit, but we do have a guy named Darren McCarty on our side. Woodward Sports.
Stop searching for a vehicle and start finding one. Les Stanford Chevrolet Cadillac makes it easy. We harness the power of multiple dealerships and own the biggest selection of GM brands in the area to get you the car you need. With the Les Stanford Group, you'll have access to 4 different dealerships, providing you with more makes, more models, and more choices. We're connected to more than 1,000 vehicles. And with so many high-quality CPO vehicles available, you'll find new car quality at pre-owned prices. You can start and end your search at lesstanford.com today.
You smell that? That's Brad Holmes cooking. And the off-season smells good. Woodward Sports.
At work and at home, we're there with smarter security solutions. Featuring complete automation with customized alerts and more. For over 90 years, we've been the company that's been counted on to protect what matters most, all with personalized service and care. Right now, for a limited time, receive a free video device plus free installation with a new home system. Guardian Alarm. We protect Michigan.
A ton of fun, a ton of sports, and a ton of man meat. Welcome to the Woodward Heavyweights, live daily 5 to 7 p.m. on Woodward Sports.
Well, I have some good news and some bad news. The bad news is insurance rates are going up across the board in Michigan. The good news is Swiss Insurance is here to help. Right now, more than ever, it's critical for you to have your insurance reviewed. Swiss will make sure your carrier does not slip in extra fees or raise deductibles. Call Mark at Swiss Insurance today or visit SwissINS.com and tell them Woodward Sports sent you over to Rye Guy.
All right, come to Lady Jane's for an award-winning haircut experience and register to win a trip of your dreams, an all-expenses paid suite for the 2024 NCAA tournament. That's right, no expense spared for you and 5 of your best buds. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men. It's open 7 days a week. You can walk in anytime. It's wicked awesome.
Hey, look, man, I don't know if I like how you and Pete Spivak get to toss it, pause, like, you know, the reads and the advertisements, you know, the ads and the advertisements go back and forth. And now, over the right guy, hey, why the brothers can't have our own thing?
Oh, my gosh.
Like, why me and Kool-Aid can't have something?
You want some reads?
Yo, what up, Kool-Aid? You want to sing? You want to have something going on? This is not read.
That's your read.
Which one you give them, Ryan?
All right.
Soroki's.
Okay, give them Soroki's.
Braylon Edwards.
So we'll have our little back and forth.
Absolutely.
Yeah, make us feel a part of that.
Absolutely.
No, side note.
You got that. Soroki's, baby. No. You've got 50 bracket.
Right now?
Yeah, which one is that?
This is the 50 bracket. It's 50K
bracket
challenge.
Yeah,
well, we'll do that. We'll do that with Planet Fitness back to back.
Soroki's, we can get at the Kool-Aid.
We'll do that with Planet Fitness back to back, so you guys can go back to back.
Get us
I don't have
together.
a Soroki's
I
read,
got
though.
the Soroki's.
Oh, you got it. Okay,
See, you
good.
guys don't have your stuff together. Side note, if you could, and I know 2023 was a while ago. Like, we're already in the March now. Jeez Louise, where's time going? What would be like the first sports moment of 2023 that you thought about? Like you think back, like mine is funny. It's goofy. That's why I bring it up. And I'll go first. It's when Ramirez knocked out Tim Young from.
Oh man, you were watching that.
I was watching that when he knocked out. Was it Tim? What's his name? I can't think.
Tim Anderson.
Yes, who always has something to say.
Oh.
He was quiet that day.
Oh man,
that's the best punch I've seen in a long time. Maybe since Odor. Odor squared up with old boy Batista from the Toronto Blue Jays. What will be a sports moment in 2023?
First thought is being in the building at Ford Field when the Lions beat the Bucks. I didn't go to the Lions-Rams game, but when the Lions beat the Bucks.
That's 2024 though. That just happened.
Oh.
2023.
Well, that's the 2023 season.
It is.
I don't know.
I tell you what.
Michigan beating Ohio State.
Always works for me.
Bingo. Because I was about to
Always
say,
works for
you
me.
said Lions versus Bucks. I was thinking Ohio State versus Bucks.
Okay.
You know what was
Michigan
memorable
versus
about
Bucks?
that? It was what happened at the end of the game. This guy went viral for his reaction. Ryan Ermanni's reaction to that win was hilarious, bro.
Okay, here you go. In that case, let's rewind the question. Best Lions moment for you, not January through January or February. Best Lions moment last year. For me, it was the Los Angeles Chargers game.
Yeah.
Because I think the Chargers game for me was the one where I was like, all right, Lions gonna go out here and like. I secretly, because I picked the Lions to lose that game. I was like, here we go. Lions going to go out there. They're going to lose a game. And this is going to secretly. Now, they went out there and they shot a shootout. And then the Dave Montgomery touchdown up the sideline. That was my favorite Lions. I know it's a whole game. But that was my Lions moment, was the Chargers game. Because I said, okay. They cooking with something different.
Oh, I mean, if we're going down this road, I think the Bucks game, too.
You still want to be in 2024 so bad.
2023.
2023.
The regular season.
The regular season game. Okay.
You know when Craig Reynolds came from out of nowhere.
Very true. Very true.
Had the block from the St. Brown touchdown.
Good call.
They won 20-6. That was yours, Pete.
Yeah, that's mine too. Absolutely.
Well, now you have to have another one.
And for the record, Mike G. Pete has the Soroki's read that's coming up. Mike G says in the chat, Ryan, why you got to give the brothers the language?
Mike G, shout out to the chat legend, Mike G, man.
We're trying to get our reparations. Oh my God. Mike G is great. Mike G has been here from day one. I love Mike G.
Oh, God.
You know what, Mike G? You're absolutely right, man. You're absolutely right, man. That was solid, man.
God.
We're family.
See,
That's all we can say.
We are all family out
Including
here.
our chat.
You know, we are all family out here. We kid because we care. Good stuff.
We're sorry, Fox 2.
Oh, man.
Oh, my God.
That's great.
All right, back to this quarterback situation.
Let's get serious.
Okay, before I get to the draft part of it, interesting name for Minnesota. And if I was Justin Fields, this is exactly where I would want to go because I would get to play against you twice a year. The Minnesota Vikings have reportedly expressed interest in Bears quarterback Justin Fields. Now, we know from trading with the Detroit Lions that this general manager is not afraid to trade within the division. And if you're the Chicago Bears and Minnesota gives you the best deal, you shouldn't be scared of giving up on Justin Fields because you're getting rid of him for a better guy anyway.
Yeah, 100%. Like if you're the Chicago Bears and you believe that Justin Fields isn't the guy and you understand why he's not the guy, then you shouldn't be scared to give him to the Minnesota Vikings, a team within your division. Look, Kevin O'Connell, former teammate of mine, head coach to the Vikings, he's a guy that can get the most out of Justin Fields in my estimation. Justin Fields to Justin Jefferson sounds like a hell of a connection. And then he knows the division. You're talking about a guy that's electric outside. And I keep telling you guys, man, like the worst fields that you'll play on during the NFL season is going to be Soldier Field. That field is muddy. The grass is thick. It's high. It's annoying. And then it's Pittsburgh. For Justin Fields to be that fast in Chicago, can you imagine how fast he would be in Minnesota. Hell, we saw that in person in Ford Field a couple times, how good he was on that field turf. So you mix him with Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, TJ Hockenson. I mean, that's electricity right there. And then you have enough picks to find yourself a running back, because there are plenty of running backs in this running back draft class. So that'd be a hell of a move, man. It's the only thing is, if you're the Bears, can you do like the Lions and the Vikings did, where, look, I don't care, we're in the same division, it works for us. Can you put that aside and say it works for us as well, with Justin Fields potentially going to the Vikings?
I do feel like for the first time since this whole process started, like prior to the Combine, I was unsure what Chicago is going to do.
Yeah.
I am now positive that they are getting rid of Justin Fields. And I just, again, that it just doesn't make any sense to me.
What if, all right, and I get that, but let me ask you this. Let me phrase it this way. You look at how much they changed when they got Montez Sweat, right? They're 5-3 the remaining 8 games of the season, okay? Quarterback play didn't necessarily increase, because we got the stats. We saw what the fourth quarter was. We saw those things. So you mean to tell me you're 5-3, which last time I checked is 10-6 over, and add a game here, it's whatever. You mean to tell me you're a playoff contention type team, but the problem is the quarterback? So now I'm going to keep the quarterback, add more pieces around it, but still have a chance for that fault to be the quarterback. Yeah. And I think that's what they're thinking. It's like, look, if the problem now is the quarterback, even though it's been inconsistent offensive coordinating and coordinator play, we know that quarterback is a serious issue, and we have a chance. We got a chance to get one of those guys. And now that you've watched the Combine, now that you've listened to the interviews, now that you yourself have had a chance to interview him, maybe your whole thought process is different. You can't pass up Caleb Williams, I think, now in this estimation.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I wanted to say this, too, because the Bears obviously in the market for a quarterback. And we heard this, too. But how about the Giants in the market for a quarterback?
They just paid one.
Is this the Rich Eisen
Yes.
So this is Rich Eisen talking on his show about what he learned from the NFL Combine in Indianapolis, that the New York Giants are absolutely done with Daniel Jones, and they will draft a quarterback. Here's Rich Eisen on his show yesterday.
You have heard Joe Shane and the coach sit there multiple times saying they have full confidence in Daniel Jones to be the starting quarterback. There was a viral video, I believe, of Joe Shane being on a live radio or podcast for the Giants, and a fan calling in basically saying, "What do you see in this guy?" And he had to sit there and go through it, and he was a total pro about it, and he told him what he sees in the guy. Okay. Number 3 of my top 5 rumors I heard at the Combine is the Giants are absolutely done with Daniel Jones.
Wow.
Done.
Wow. Absolutely done.
Done. Might have to play him this year, but that ain't it. And they feel that ain't it. The words I heard at the Combine multiple times, 2 words were buyers.
So, 2 things about this. Giants are absolutely done with Daniel Jones. I love, at least in today's NFL, you don't double down.
Nope.
Like, you have a franchise that says, look, we made a mistake. The Cardinals did it with Josh Rosen when they took him 10th overall.
Took Kyler Murray next year.
We made a mistake. We're taking this guy number 1 overall. The New York Giants, Denver Broncos. Gave up 2 first-round picks, signed Russell to a $200 million deal, whatever.
No, thank you.
We made a mistake. Cut him $85 million dead money. The New York Giants,
Sam Darnold.
$45 million a year. We made a mistake. I love that part of it. Now, I don't love making the mistake, but I love, if you're going to be around in this league a little bit, you at least have to know when to cut your losses. It feels like the Giants are in that spot.
The good news about that mistake, Ryan and mine, it didn't cost me and you a thing.
Right.
It didn't cost either one of us a thing. I think at this day, it's tough to get the quarterback right. Like, it's gotten harder and harder and harder in terms of getting the quarterback right, getting that position right. Look, Daniel Jones wasn't the guy. Brian Daboll wasn't the head coach when they picked him up. He didn't want him. You saw it on his face when he threw the surface down. He could not understand last season. You remember the play Kool-Aid and Pete? Last season, when he came to the sideline, it was after a red zone play. The guy was clearly wide open. Daniel Jones throws an interception. Can't get the pass there. You can see it was written all over Brian Daboll's face. Like, what is this guy looking at? What is he reading? He's not the guy for me. He's not the guy that works. After Brian Daboll won a game with him in the playoffs the year before, you saw who they wanted. They wanted Brian Daboll as the coach, and they're willing to accept their defeat. That was the Amon-Ra family, thinking he was like Eli. He was quiet. He was tall. He's not the guy. He's not the same guy, and this is cool. Like, that's the going rate for a quarterback, so you're going to keep trying until you figure it out. But Brian Daboll is a guy that has been around some quarterbacks. He was around Matt Castle. He understands that. He was around Tom Brady. He was around Jimmy G. He coached Josh Allen when Josh Allen was at his best. So if Brian Daboll tells me he ain't the guy, and I use aim for effect, if I'm the owner, if I'm the Amon-Ra family with the New York Giants, and I got to listen to this guy that I'm paying top dollar money to, that actually won me for a playoff game for the first time in about 6-7 seasons, I got to listen to the guy. And there's a couple guys out there. Now's the time maybe you go after a guy, and the guy that they seem like they have their sights on, Pete's pulling up the play, but a guy that it seems like they have their sights on, they're fixed on, and that's JJ McCarthy, Ryan.
Well, that is absolutely one of the guys, and we have seen him yesterday in a mock draft for one of the big networks. That the Giants traded up to 3 to take JJ McCarthy. There was a report yesterday that came out saying that NFL scouts have JJ McCarthy ranked higher than Jaden Daniels, saying that if JJ McCarthy played at LSU, his numbers would be Jaden Daniels-like, and if Jaden Daniels played at Michigan, his numbers would be like JJ McCarthy's. Right. Now, that is not me saying that. That is ESPN and Fox Sports coming out and saying these things. Now, I'm no expert evaluator of quarterbacks. I could just tell you what my eyes see. I like, I'm not even going to repeat myself. You know how I feel about it. But these are people that do this for a living that say, hey, man, you really got to take a look at this J.J. McCarthy kid. And now I'm not talking about putting him above Drake May, heaven forbid, because I think he is better than Drake May. But Jaden Daniels was one that I did not think he would be drafted above, and maybe he will, Bray.
Yeah, and it's one of those things, too. Like, if you're the Giants, Ryan, and here's where it goes to what I'm saying. Having a quarterback that JJ can play under and learn the system, it doesn't necessarily be a year. Look, I like Tyrod Taylor. Everywhere Tyrod Taylor was, he was successful. He just gotten injured, and he couldn't necessarily operate once he got good or operate once he got into the team, into the playoffs, etc. Tyrod Taylor's a guy that can help J.J. McCarthy out, being an experienced veteran, reading the offense, is kind of seeing how they want to see it and help him along the way. But the problem is, what is his weapons going to be like? What are his weapons? What is his artillery going to look like? Darren Waller, first year last year, was injured, much like he was with the Raiders. Last year, first year with the Giants. Jalen Hyatt, rookie wide receiver out of Tennessee last year, didn't do much. Once again, Danny Dimes was the quarterback, or Daniel Nichols, whatever when you call the guy. Darius Slayton is a wide receiver too. Do you have enough around J.J. McCarthy right now to be successful? Because when you throw a quarterback in there, I don't care how good he is, I don't care what the talent is, it's the age-old David Carr thing. If David Carr wouldn't have played for the Houston Texans in 2000 as a rookie and gotten sacked 5,000 times that year, right, knocked off at his confidence, got him exactly injured, he could have been a much better quarterback in this NFL. So regardless of who you want, if you don't have anything in the cupboard, if the cupboard is bare, then that guy is going to struggle. So if you're the Giants and you make a move like that, you better make sure you arm that artillery cabinet as well.
One of the reasons that these scouts reference putting J.J. McCarthy above Jaden Daniels is because they're saying, like, if you look, for example, if you look at Mel Kiper's big board of the top 50 players in this draft, just players, not players by position, just players. At number 7, Malik Neighbors, wide receiver, LSU. At number 11, Brian Thomas, wide receiver, LSU. So you've got 2 top 11 players in the entire draft catching balls for pause.
There you go.
For the number 3 player in this draft, Jaden Daniels.
But then on the flip side of that, you can do the same. Look at Joe
for anybody.
No, but look at Joe Burrow.
Right.
when he was the number one quarterback, and you look at his stats probably ever in collegiate,
Sure.
who were his wide receivers? Jamar Chase. And Justin Jefferson. And then also Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
Right.
And Randy Moss's
There's no
son.
doubt.
So you look at it that way, it's like, okay, well, it's not Joe Burrow.
Right.
Until you get in the NFL. And he's still with Jamar Chase.
But in Braylon, you bring up because I didn't think about the Joe Burrow portion of this.
Yeah.
You bring up a great point. There is something for everybody. If you are a scout that wants to put JJ McCarthy above Jaden Daniels, and you're citing these two top 11 wide receivers that Jaden Daniels got to play with,
you can bring up the Joe Burrow
then
aspect.
you can return it with the Joe Burrow. There's just so much analysis that takes place over these 4 months, really, from the time the season ends in the end of January, middle of January, to when the draft takes place in April. And there will be a back and forth on this. You know, Jaden Daniels is going to go through a pro day. Caleb Williams is going to go through a pro day. JJ McCarthy is going to go through a pro day. All of these things are going to take place.
I do you one I even do you one newer. You want to give me that argument about Jaden Daniels and the two guys that he's throwing to? I can give you C.J. Stroud.
Yeah.
Who was he throwing to at Ohio
Marvin
State?
Harrison Jr.
4 first-rounders.
Jackson Smith
Garrett
and Jigba.
Wilson.
Right.
And 4 first-rounders. And what did he do in the NFL? Oh, boy.
Right. I'm curious in this latest mock draft, and this is put out by Jordan Reed, NFL draft analyst for ESPN. Obviously Caleb Williams, number 1, USC. I'm so intrigued by Drake May and where he goes and where he falls. In this mock draft, Drake May goes number 2 to Washington. And I'm telling you, the team that takes Drake May over Jaden Daniels or JJ McCarthy, that general manager is going to be out of a job in 12 months.
It's essentially the Chicago Bears taking Mitchell Trubisky over every quarterback that they took him over. Patrick Mahomes is one of them. Lamar Jackson was one of them. Can't think of the other one because it doesn't matter. I just gave you two guys that the Chicago Bears moved up to take Mitchell Trubisky. Oh, Deshaun Watson. That was the other. Like, just think of that, Ryan Ermanni. The Chicago Bears took Mitchell Trubisky over Deshaun Watson, who had won the national championship, Lamar Jackson, who had won the Heisman, and Patrick Mahomes, which everything their draft analysts told him how good he was going to be. That would be the same thing I think you would be seeing with this situation right now with Drake May and the 2-3 behind him.
Jaden Daniels in this mock draft goes number 3 to New England. In the write-up here, I'm still not convinced that the Patriots will ultimately take a quarterback at this spot, even though I believe they should. They lack playmakers all over the place. And I agree with that. I don't think this is the year they should take a quarterback.
You can't for what?
Build up something. Build up something first, because your quarterback's going to get killed if he doesn't have an offensive line, if he doesn't have wide receivers, and you can ruin your quarterback forever. I hope they don't take a quarterback. Whoever is picked by New England, I hope it's not a quarterback, because that quarterback is totally tossed away.
If you're New England, just keep Mac Jones. You got a guy that already went to the Pro Bowl one time. You got a guy that won a national championship.
Take Marvin Harrison.
Exactly. But keep the quarterback you got. You already don't like him. You don't like him as a leader. Just at least you have someone that knows the system. He knows being there, and he has gotten you to the playoffs once. He made the Pro Bowl once. Just keep him. Figure out what you want to be. Figure out what you want to do, because you need some playmakers. And Ryan, you hit the nail on the head. Marvin Harrison is the best one in the whole draft.
Roma Dunza goes 6 to the Giants, so Giants don't take a quarterback in this mock draft. The Los Angeles Chargers trade up in this mock draft, theoretically. Brock Bowers, tight end, Georgia. That would be a nice treat. So you would have Justin Herbert.
Okay.
You would have most likely a free agent running back, a Saquon Barkley type. You would have Brock Bowers at tight end.
And you still have 3 tight ends. 3 wide receivers at the first round. You got Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, and you have Quentin Johnson from last year.
Unbelievable.
And you're going to draft Roman Wilson.
That's a playoff team.
Yes.
Absolutely. In this mock, 11 Minnesota Vikings select JJ McCarthy. And let me just read the write-up before you speak on it. We obviously don't know if free agent Kirk Cousins will return to Minnesota, but McCarthy fits Coach Kevin O'Connell's scheme. Yes, the passing sample size is limited. He only hit 25 or more passing attempts in 12 of his 28 career starts, and his combined workout was inconsistent. but his efficiency at Michigan is noteworthy. The infrastructure in Minnesota with Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, and TJ Hawkinson catching passes is set up well for a young signal caller to grow. This might be the best scenario, best landing spot for JJ McCarthy in Minnesota.
And let's just stop assuming that Saquon Barkley is going to the Los Angeles Chargers just because Jim Harbaugh is there and he coached against them when he was at Penn State. Why can't Saquon go to the Vikings? Mm-hmm. Why can't Saquon Barkley go to the Vikings? You had Saquon Barkley to the Minnesota Vikings alongside Jordan Addison, alongside Justin Jefferson. Now you add, JJ McCarthy to Kevin O'Connell. Mm-hmm. Kevin O'Connell, I told you what he told me a long time ago. He wanted to be a coach in this game. He wanted to coach the quarterback position, but he wanted to be a head coach and do it and kind of refine the way offense was played. Well, I think he's getting his chance to do it. And if JJ's a guy like that, he's going to put a lot into that guy. And he's learned under Sean Payton. He was there when Matt Stafford got there, and they won that Super Bowl in 2022. So 2021, excuse me. In 2021 season, 2022 Super Bowl, he was there. So he watched the whole thing unfold with how to build a relationship with the quarterback, how to get things moving the right way. JJ's a young guy, and I think Kevin's looking to put his staple on something, and JJ McCarthy could be that guy.
So 4 quarterbacks taken in the first round in this particular draft. For the Detroit Lions at 29, Jordan Reed has them taking Jerzon Newton, defensive tackle, Illinois.
And so it starts.
Well, 2 things about this. One, he was the player that said, and forgive me, I'm so sorry I don't have the person who has the credit for it, but he said, if they F with me, I'm going to F with them.
100%.
And that's him.
Yeah.
But first line of this write-up, Newton had surgery for a foot injury in January.
Lions are taking him.
That is the Lions pick.
Hey, but same.
They're taking him now. He had foot surgery.
But it's the same thing with a DB who I want them to take, who shares the same name as Brandon Dent, a.k.a. Kool-Aid McKinstry, DB for the Alabama.
2 picks earlier to Arizona.
He's another guy that just got injured. So yeah,
a Jones fracture in McKinstry's right foot.
See, there it is. 100%.
So there's no doubt it's either McKinstry or Newton for the Detroit Lions because both guys are hurt.
Also, it's both the positions that everyone knows the Lions really need. They need a defensive interior or a defensive end. If you get a great defensive end, then that's the guy you need. If you get a great defensive interior, that's the guy you need. It's one of those positions, so that's what they also know.
Xavier Worthy, the guy everybody's talking about from the
4.21.
Combine, ran a 4.21. Last pick in the first round, going 32 to the Kansas City Chiefs.
Speed kills. I remember when I came out, Al Davis was still alive. He still was, rest in peace, he still was the owner, and he still was drafting off speed, Ryan Ermanni. Guys, when they run fast, they instantly move up to the first round for that for Al Davis. I remember my draft class. I was looking at those guys. Speed was ridiculous, Ryan. They had Fabian Washington, who was a defensive back from North Nebraska, 4.27. They got Stanford Routt, who was a defensive back from Houston, 4.28. Their linebacker, the linebacker's name was Terrence Johnson or something Johnson, 4.42. Out of Clemson or one of those schools, I can't remember. But when you look at your depth chart, like how we kind of like go over a depth chart before games, and you get a chance to look at meetings and scout your guys. All right, let me see this secondary. Let me see what it looks like. They have the speed and the school that everybody went to. When you looked at the Raiders' speed, you can tell why they were drafted. Like sometimes it was not about skill, it wasn't about stats. You're like defensive lineman, 4.5. What? You're like 308, 468. All they cared about on the Raiders was speed. If you could run, you could get into the first round with the Raiders.
Keon Coleman dropped out of the first round. He's the first pick of the second round. Wide receiver from Florida State, of course, formerly of the Michigan State Spartans. That is a player that I would be curious about for the Lions at 29. They do need a wide receiver, in my opinion. I thought he played really well in games. I will say, when I watched Keon Coleman in the Combine, he dropped an awful lot of passes, which I don't know how big of a deal that is in the Combine. Braylon, you would know better than I would, but I was like, eesh. boy, did he drop a lot of passes.
Everybody has a bad day. Trust me, I've had a few of them, and it just is what it is. But I think for scouts, I think for teams when they're watching, you probably watch his film footage, and I've seen some of his footage. He's a body catcher, which tells me one thing, Ryan Ermanni, he doesn't trust his body. So he's a body catcher. He doesn't trust his hands. So he's going to catch with his body. When you catch with your body, it's the second line of defense. So you're already closer to a drop by catching with your body. When you catch with your hands, you can catch with your hands. You can maybe double catch it. You can get into your body. You give yourself a couple extra chances. But when you try to catch with your body, they're already at the secondary catch, which makes it tougher. And I think they saw that on film. And then when guys are trying to do something that they don't typically do, Ryan, now then they're coming to the combine, and now they want to showcase their hands. Well, if you don't really have hands like that, teams see it, they understand, and it kind of like it fulfills what they already hoped it wouldn't be. And maybe that's where you see him dropping out, because guys like he doesn't trust his hands. That's why he's a body catcher. Like, he's a great player, but if he doesn't trust his hands, we can't spend all this money on him in the first round. We'll take him in the second and see how it pans out.
And again, a 2-round mock
He's
draft.
still a hell of a player, though.
2-round mock draft dropped on ESPN.com earlier today from Jordan Reed. In this scenario, number 39, the New York Giants do get their quarterback, Bo Nix, in the second round. So he would wind up there. The next Michigan player
He'll be 30 by the time the season starts.
The next Michigan player in this draft goes number 42. Guess who it is?
Chris Jenkins.
Yes, Chris Jenkins, defensive tackle from Michigan. After JJ McCarthy, he's the next Michigan player selected. He'd go 42 to Minnesota. Michael Penix Jr. would go 44 to the Las Vegas Raiders. Many people believe that is the last of the higher end quarterbacks there at Penix Jr. So Raiders, couple of picks after the Giants selected Bo Nix. Penix goes to Washington at pick number 46. Another Michigan player.
Pick number 46. Junior Colson or
Roman Wilson.
I was gonna say
Roman Wilson.
Speed kills.
Roman Wilson. Another Michigan player after that.
438.
50 to the Philadelphia Eagles. Select.
Blake Coleman.
Just said it.
Oh yeah, Junior Colson.
Junior Colson.
There we go. They do need linebackers.
For Junior Colson.
And they need linebackers
to go to a spot where Brandon Graham has gone. Wouldn't that be a match made in heaven for Junior Colson to go to go to Philadelphia in Brandon Graham, what will likely be his final year in Philadelphia, and kind of help him pass the torch as another Michigan defensive player for the Eagles.
You can be good about that situation. I think Brandon Graham, being the longest tenured. Well, now that Fletcher Cox is retiring, actually, even with that, I think he's the longest.
Now he is.
And Jason Kelsey, he's the longest tenured Eagle now. He didn't like how last season ended either. He didn't like the energy that was Nick Sirianni. He didn't like whatever transpired between Jalen Hurts and that team, and he actually was vocal about it. This would give him a project that could make football fun again. This could give him a project that could end his career in Philly out on the right note. So I think that would be good for both of them. Good call.
At number 61 of the second round, the Detroit Lions take Cam Hart, cornerback from Notre Dame. Here's the write-up. Hart is another prospect that will probably hear his name called earlier than most anticipate. Lions general manager Brad Holmes has completely retooled the roster, but the secondary still sticks out as needing a lot of help. Detroit gave up 7.8 yards per pass attempt last year, 31st in the NFL. Hart is a versatile corner who can play a variety of coverages. So basically, forget about the players' names. Defensive tackle, first round. Cornerback, second round. Defense for an ailing group, Braylon. And who knows, at this point, maybe Brad Holmes goes offensive tackle, wide receiver, or offensive guard, wide receiver. But in this mock, they go defensive tackle and cornerback.
Yeah, also, look, they said that they didn't necessarily want to go get out and do things in free agency. I think that's the thing we're trying to decipher through Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell. They're crypting this. Are they just going to try to draft players as opposed to pay them? So if that's the case, then you got to go get them in the draft, and it goes back to what you talked about, Ryan and Maz, even when he was here. They go after certain type of schools. And when you watch, and I know it's only been a 2-year sample size, but when you watch what Marcus Freeman has done down there at Notre Dame, he's actually doing some really good things, and he's cooking with some grease. And the secondary has been a really good spot for them down there in Notre Dame. So if you're talking a DB from Notre Dame that's coached by Marcus Freeman, I'm not mad at that at all. I like what Notre Dame is doing, and I don't like Notre Dame.
Right, no doubt about it. So something to keep an eye on. Guys, we're going to take a break. We'll come back. Much more here on Woodward Sports. But first, a message from Guardian Alarm. They're your local security experts and have been for over 90 years. When you see that black and yellow sign out in front of your house, it tells the bad guys one thing.
Stay out.
Whether you are at home or on the road, they're 24/7 professional monitoring, customized solutions from real experts, and technology backed by people means you are backed by the best. Call this number right here, 1-800. That number again, 1-800.
Stay out.
Stay out of here. Tell them Woodward Sports sent you.
And you get your alarm, you can give your pet the best. Premier Pet Supply is hands down Michigan's best pet store. Same prices and all the conveniences of the online and big box realtors. With one major difference, family and locally owned and operated for 30 plus years. Over 60 brands of food with nutrition experts there to help you. Same day, local curbside and home delivery. Premier Pet Supply. Give your pet the best at www.premierpetsupply.com. And just in case you may be hungry, what's better than crispy chicken and pizza while watching your favorite team play? Let me tell you about Soroki's Crispy Chicken and Pizza. Their food is amazing, and their locations are popping up all over Metro Detroit. A perfect takeout option featuring hand-breaded fried chicken, New York pizza that'll impress Maz, fresh salads, sides, and more. Check out their full menu and find the closest Soroki's near you at Sorokis.com. That's SAROKIS.com. Soroki's and Woodward Sports. That's crispy.
Every year, after a cold and dreary winter, Metro Detroiters come together for two things: Tigers baseball and the best damned party in the world. A new season of Tigers baseball is here, and we're bringing in the new season as only Woodward Sports knows how. Broadcasting live from the biggest party, it's the Grand Slam Festival at the Detroit Opera House. Come party with 4,000 Detroit sports fans, starting with Wake Up Woodward and rolling into Big D Energy. This is a party you don't want to miss, with Detroit's best DJs, food trucks, and of course, shots. Get your tickets now at GrandSlamFest.com. 21 plus. See you April 5th at the Grand Slam Fest.
Walk into any Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men for an award-winning haircut experience from one of our talented stylists. Enjoy a precision haircut, hot lather neck shave, scalp and neck massage, and a hot towel treatment to top it off. Enter for your chance to win the $50,000 Perfect Bracket Challenge. With more than 25 Metro Detroit locations, there's always a Lady Jane's near you. Lady Jane's Haircut for Men, open 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. Lady Jane's, it's wicked awesome.
You smell that? That's Brad Holmes cooking. And the off-season smells good. Woodward Sports.
Big Boy Seafood Fest is sailing in with a fresh catch of favorites. Dive into fish and chips, our new palm-crusted cod, perfectly fried clam shrimp platter, or a delicious fish sandwich. Try our new mango iced tea, the ultimate complement to our popcorn shrimp, our all-new fried pickles, shrimp alfredo, or shrimp stir-fry. Experience all the sea has to offer every Friday night with our all-you-can-eat seafood buffet. Every day is a fish fry, only at Big Boy.
You have an opinion? Make sure it's seen and heard. Corner, jumper, Tweet us, hop on the YouTube chat, slide in the DMS at Woodward Sports on all social media.
Stop searching for a vehicle and start finding one. Les Stanford Chevrolet Cadillac makes it easy. We harness the power of multiple dealerships and own the biggest selection of GM brands in the area to get you the car you need. With the Les Stanford Group, you'll have access to 4 different dealerships, providing you with more makes, more models, and more choices. We're connected to more than 1,000 vehicles, and with so many high-quality CPO vehicles available, you'll find new car quality at pre-owned prices. You can start and end your search at lesstanford.com today.
We don't like to brag that we are the toughest sports network in Detroit, but we do have a guy named Darren McCarty on our side. Woodward Sports.
Planet Fitness is home of the judgment-free zone where anyone, and we mean anyone, can feel comfortable and work on their fitness goals. At Planet Fitness, you will experience a squeaky clean gym that has tons of equipment, a full body workout in just 30 minutes, and all memberships include fitness training. You get all of this for just $10 a month, no commitment. No matter where you are, there is a Planet Fitness close by. There are more than 50 in Metro Detroit and thousands more throughout the world. Just walk into your local Planet Fitness today or visit them online at planetfitness.com. And now, over to you, Bray.
Yeah, even though that janky son of a gun Pete Spivak tried to sabotage us, I still can hear young man. And this is Woodward Sports $50,000 Bracket Challenge, sponsored to you by Glorious Cannabis, Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men, Soroki's Crispy Chicken and Pizza. Register for your chance to win at Lady Jane's or a Soroki's location, or you can just scan the QR code that's on your on your screen right now. If you're paying attention, fill it. It has to be perfect now. The bracket has to be perfect. You can't lose 1 game, 2 games, 3 games. No games. You lose 0 games, you get $50,000. It's just that simple. Woodward Sports, proud to bring it to you by Glorious Cannabis and Soroki's.
Pretty good deal. I mean, you predict perfect bracket, obviously 50 grand cash. Predict 60 games correctly.
How was our
grand.
exchange? How did we do?
Oh, you did good.
How do we stack up against you guys?
Kool-Aid? Oh, much better than us.
That's cat.
Much better
That's
than
cat.
us. No, it's not. No cat.
That's cat.
It's no cat.
Nah, you were really good. Now, Pete, he's not that good.
Well, you know.
Nah, I'm just joking. I say that because everybody in the chat's about to go ahead. They're about to defend Pete.
I read copy for a living.
This is true. This is true. This is true.
It's kind of what I do.
Pete's damn good, man. It's not surprising. It's just catches you off guard sometimes when he doesn't read. You're like, oh wow, that was really
well,
professional.
it's like a game show host. But
it's true.
I'll tell you, if I was an advertiser,
Kool-Aid's better than me, by the way.
If I was an advertiser, I would want Pete to read it.
Yeah,
I appreciate that, boys.
You automatically listen to what Pete's saying because you're so dialed in to his energy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's not too much.
Like, what's this dude talking about?
And his enunciation is very good, too. It's very clear.
Absolutely.
Thank you, boys.
No.
Okay. Very nice, you boys. Thank you.
Absolutely. You should do a little, I mean, seriously, like, just this part aside, I would even have you do, like, VO work, like, on real commercials
Voiceover,
outside of
yeah.
Up for hire. Baby, do it up.
Absolutely.
You could have killed it in Nickelodeon. I'm just trying to think of like what character voiceover like because I was a Doug.
He'd
Doug
be like
guy when I grew up.
Remember the old Double Dare game
Double Dare,
show?
like, and now the host, Mark Summer.
Mark Summer, little short dude, curly hair.
I could replace Ed McMahon on the Tonight Show.
Oh, we have a caller.
Come on down.
Hey, by the way, just a little bit of news around here. Did you see the explosion last night?
Yeah.
In Clinton Township? Holy cow. It was multiple explosions at this warehouse in Clinton Township. And actually, a 19-year-old male died more than a quarter mile away from the debris that flew up and apparently hit him in the head. And it was a place that sells nitrous tanks and vaping cartridges and vaping equipment. And if you see videos getting up close and personal of this thing, the shrapnel, the debris was just rocketing up, flying everywhere. It was crazy.
Yeah, I'm just glad nobody else was hurt. Like in situations you're talking about all that type of debris, you know, and a lot of that accidental traffic, accidental debris could have got somebody out. I'm sad for the loss.
Yeah,
I'm
no doubt.
Just happy that it wasn't more, but that nitrous stuff is illegal too. That was like in the heyday. You know?
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't, there's a nitrous, tanks that,
are they buying balloons?
Balloons or
after hours?
for car, you can get a good 6-8 pushes on an old car,
I was thinking like after
parties. Now, balloons are like, you're thinking of balloons like this.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like.
No, that's those days.
About
those days
back in the college days, Bray. Something's weird happened.
Yeah, no doubt, man. So our thoughts with that 19-year-old that lost his life, and it's also a good reminder when police and fire set perimeters.
This is why
they do that for a reason, man. I'm not saying this young man was within the perimeter or not, but when there's something like this, everybody wants to go to the scene, and they say, no, stay away, stay far away. We just have no idea what we're dealing with at Server. They thought there were gunshots because the pop, 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 pop. All these tanks were exploding within the facility. It was wild.
Ryan, this goes, and once again, I promise you, this is not me trying to bring anything back to Friday or whatever.
Well, we've got that news too, but go ahead.
But this, I was saying, this is one of the big things about Friday. What did I keep saying when I tell the story? It was none of my business.
Right.
I think people often not, man, they focus on what's not their business. They focus on things. They try to be clear. Like if you don't have any intent to do anything, or if you don't have any intent to be able to help a situation, then stay away from the situation.
Right.
Don't be trying to focus in. Don't try to go to the situation. Get away from the situation because you help yourself and others, unless there's some intention that you plan on doing. Get away from the situation.
No doubt. And speaking of the Friday situation, the man that you were talking about was charged in the YMCA attack. So he is behind bars. He's still remarkable, Braylon. Remarkable what you did.
It's crazy looking at it like in his eyes like that again. Like I don't think I have to say pause after the situation that played out last Friday, but like just seeing that guy again, because I literally was face to face with that guy, and you know the worst was going on, and the worst was prevented, and. Once again, and I hope that the guy, he's in stable condition now, so I do feel a lot better about that. But I also hope that this individual that's in jail now, I hope he gets the help he needs when he's behind bars. I think that's one of the big things that Washington County Community Sheriff and Genesee County, who I've done some work with, their jails are help preventive in the mental health space. They get people, they get inmates the help they need. I hope because he needs some help, and maybe once he gets some help, he can be a better part of society. Because I mean, he deserves the help he needs.
That young man charged with assault with intent to murder, which carries up to a life sentence if convicted.
Shit.
No problem, Braylon. I mean that reaction, that reaction. But I mean, you can't go around smashing people's heads into.
And two things can be true. He deserves what he deserves, but part of that is get him some help, man. But dang, it just puts it into perspective even furthermore, right?
Right. No doubt about it, man. No doubt about it. So, no easy transition to get back to the sports world, but we will do that. Braylon, in the NBA, the Pistons play tonight, and Kool-Aid, weigh in on this. Feel free. They're in Miami. You know, they're in a place where they have had some success. And again, 3 games this week at the Heat, and then a couple of home games against the Nets and the Mavericks. I'm not asking you whether they should, what they need to do here to win a game, but they're 9-51. They've got 22 games left. What would you like to see over the next 22 games? Is it a number of wins? Is it the way they play? Because that effort in Orlando on Sunday night was ridiculous. I can't have that. Where you just throwing games away. Orlando's not 20-plus points better than you. I'm sorry. They're just not. That's effort to me. Kool-Aid, let me start with you. You got something? You go first.
Let me go first because Kool-Aid is going to be more X's and O's, and it's more of an actual real answer that I will like. Mine's a little more surface. At the end of the day, they are tired, they are worn out, they're young, they're mentally drained about the season, about the disrespect. I ain't gonna say disrespect, about the jokes, about everything that's happened, the disrespect of the NBA in terms of how the referees have called games, Monty Williams. There's been a lot. So they're mentally exhausted, and I get that. With that said, Ryan, with that said, Pete, and with that said, Kool-Aid, I want to see effort. I want to see energy, and I want you to be in games. It's not about a number of wins. I want to make sure you guys are giving all you can, and this is why. This is still a dream. Mm-hmm. It's still a dream to play in the NBA. Mm. Like, you know how many people wish they were in your shoes? You know how many people wish that they could lace up a pair of shoes at LCA and tell teams that I'm playing for the Detroit Pistons tonight? Tell a guy I'm going against, the Miami Heat, where D-Wade played and blah, 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 and Jimmy Butler is the guy on the team now. We're about to play the Dallas Mavericks in 3 games, and I get to play against Kyrie and blah. It's still an NBA. It's a dream. Go out there, put it all on the line, because you guys are young. It's not like this team is 9, 10, 11, 13, 14 years in, and they're a bunch of old guys. You guys are kids. Mm. You guys are young. Lay it all on the line, and in the offseason, we'll figure it out. But the one thing that you can do, the one thing that has nothing to do with coaching, the one thing that has nothing to do with what school you went to, when you got drafted, is effort, it's hustle, and it's passion. I just want to see those guys go out there and play with that. With that, we can work on everything else in the offseason to get serious. Give me some passion and give me some effort, because I remember what it was like playing for a bad team, but I also remember that it was my dream to be in the NFL. So, like, just that. I think that, and I'm cool.
Yeah. You know what? You said that very well, because the things you talked about is what resonates with the city. When you look at the Detroit Lions and they talk about identifying players that really resonate with the city and can represent, because they're wearing Detroit across the front of that jersey.
100%.
I want them to find that passion and that pride for all of these fans that continue to show up. We've been at a couple games this year, and it's like, though it's not sold out,
I've seen you at 4 games.
You see people still showing up. You see social media still lighting up. Even though there's some people that's going to joke about it.
Spent their hard-earned money.
They're spending their hard-earned money. And it's like, you know what? Have a passion to play for those people. That's what it should be about. And I like your take on it as well, because you're a former pro athlete and one of the best wide receivers in U of M history. These are sacred things, man, that they should take very, very serious and should understand what they have. And with that pride aspect, whether they get there or not, I want to see them kind of take a comfort with saying, you know what? We don't want to set our franchises low in wins.
Yeah.
That's 16. Have some type of heart when you go out there and say, you know what, we're still playing for something.
That's real.
Because next season, you want to know that this team is something worth getting behind, even if they're starting at the bottom. Even if they're starting at the bottom, it is the Detroit way. From an X's and O's standpoint, it's like, you know what? The numbers say that the defense has gotten better, but the offense is still something where I'm not seeing the cohesion, man. You want to see this team kind of come together, play.
It's like don't nobody like each other.
Yes, it's weird.
I mean, I know that's not the answer, but it just seems like that y'all don't hang out.
It's the chemistry. It's the weirdest thing when you got a bunch of young players. You would think that you would see all out, at the very least, even if they're losing, all out effort. So it's like you said a lot right, bro.
I would say this. What I want to see in the next 22 games, show me the players that want to be here. And if you don't, you're gone. I don't care who you are.
I clap that one up.
I don't care who you are. If you're Cade Cunningham, if you're Jalen Duren, if you're Jaden Ivey, it does not matter to me. Show me who wants to be on this team moving forward, and show me who does not. And I think every single player on this team is expendable. From Isaiah Stewart to Cade Cunningham and everybody in between. Who wants to be here? Who wants to have a future here? Who wants to be a part of this team's growth? And if you don't want to be here, fine. We'll get rid of you. But this effort that we had the other night in Orlando, it's not going to happen. It cannot happen. We cannot accept that effort. And for a coach that makes $80+ million, that effort should not be accepted at all. It's time for Monty to step up a little bit here, too, in the absence of a general manager that's going to have any sort of anything for your program. You know, demand change. Demand players that you want gone. Demand players that you want to build around. You take the lead. You're the one that's making $80-some million, not Troy Weaver.
Yeah.
That's the kind of effort I want to see over the next 22 games. And you go from there. But this franchise has become nobody cares about you anymore. Nobody.
Yeah.
And for the 5 people that do it for them. You know, there are people that like to take their kids to basketball games. There are date nights that you're just going to an event. You're not going to see you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're just going because you want to take your kid to a 3 o'clock game on a Saturday or Sunday.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, get it together. That's what I would say to the Detroit Pistons. Get it together and do it now, because you are essentially losing over the last decade plus an entire generation of Pistons fans. Nobody cares about you anymore.
That have seen championships, that have seen the heyday, that have seen that have cried on the court, that have cried at losses and cried at wins. Like, just all that kind of just fluttered out the window, man. It's nuts, man. And, and once again, it's deeper than the players. It starts at the top, and we know Tom Gores is at the top, so it starts with him. He's not off the hook. It starts with him. But something has to give, man, at some point.
Yeah, no doubt about it, man. Tigers were in action yesterday. They're in action today against the Braves as well. The Detroit Tigers lose to the Atlanta Braves today, 3-0. Tigers 6-5 in Grapefruit League play. Reese Olson on the mound for Detroit. Really, who cares whether they win or lose? Reese Olson went 3 innings, gave up 2 hits, struck out 4, didn't allow a run or a walk. That's the kind of effort you want to see from guys that you're going to count on. Reese Olson was a pitcher for this team last year that kind of came out of nowhere. Yeah. He's a player that can stick, a young player that can stick for this team. Looks like he's getting it together a little bit this postseason as well. But little pieces you're just trying to pluck out of Grapefruit League play.
Yeah, 100%. Yes. You're trying to see what Riley Green is doing. You're trying to see what Spencer Torkins is seeing if he's taking that next jump. You see Terrence Skubal on the mound. You see him pitching well. You see it. So it's good to see these players making these. 6-5 or 7. It doesn't matter what that is. You just want to see are the guys that you're going to count on, the guys that you've counted on. Colton Keith is another guy. You want to see how these guys are playing and how they're going to be because there's talent on this team. There's talent in the dugout. There's talent around the innings. Around the infield. So we want to see what this team can do. They're a really good defensive team last year. That was one of the things that they turned on and played well in the last half of the season. So, it's little things, man. You're looking for little wins, but this is a division that has been winnable for the past 5 years, and I think this is the year for the Detroit Tigers to win the division.
Bray, one of the big storylines to keep an eye on here is Javier Baez, shortstop for the Detroit Tigers. 12 at-bats, 0 hits. 6 strikeouts. Javi is 0 for 12 with 6 strikeouts this year. Again, that's a player. I know it's just spring. Don't want to freak out, but that's really bad.
We can dance around the issue all we want to, but let's not dance anymore, Ryan. I'm a grown man. You're a grown man. Kool-Aid, you just had your 4th baby. Pete Spivak is older than everybody in here. We're grown men. He has not been a good hitter since that last All-Star year with the Cubs. He's had slumps, and the slumps have turned into full seasons. When you do something for a full season, it's not a slump. It is who you've become. I hope he can get out of it, but I'm just going to prepare myself that he won't and he'll have another average season. Because since he's been a Detroit Tiger, with the exception of good defensive play, except that one horrible play last year and early on in the year, it was ridiculous. I think they lost the game on that play. With the exception of his defense, he hasn't been a consistent hitter and he hasn't been what he was for the Cubs. So let's just start the season knowing that's what it's going to be.
This may be blasphemous, but if he continues on like this, where he's just wildly swinging at pitches that are nowhere near the plate, don't bring him north.
He's got to go.
There's no salary cap in baseball. You want to show me you're ready to win? It's much like I said with the Detroit Pistons.
Yeah.
You don't have Miguel Cabrera anymore. It's fine. It feels like a new era of Tigers baseball being ushered in. You want to show me you want to be on the team? Can you help this team? Don't bring him north. And, you're going to eat a ton of money, but you know what? If you're trying to take this franchise to be a champion again, you can't have that kind of player in your lineup every day. You just can't. You cannot have that player in your lineup every day.
And also, just doesn't seem like he cares to get better. But this is going to be an interesting project. Now, the one thing I will push back, Ryan. Scott Harris was with him with the Cubs. The first thing Scott Harris did when he got here, he called out Javier Baez in terms of his swinging, in terms of what pitches he was hitting at, what pitches he was aiming for. So he called him out when he first got here. So maybe that will change. Well, not change, but maybe that will play a factor between now and April 5th. Is it? I believe because they open up again.
April 5th at home.
March 28th.
April 1st at
White
March
Sox.
28th. March 28th. March 28th at the White Sox.
Yeah, I know a little something.
My Chris Getz led Chicago White Sox.
That's your guy.
That's my guy,
That's
general
your guy,
manager of the
man.
White Sox. Absolutely. Pride of Grosse Pointe South High School.
There you go, man.
All right, Bray, get us out of here, my friend. We hope you enjoyed the show today. We thought this was a really good show.
I think so. Kool-Aid, man, you get us out of here, brother.
Hey,
throw these shades on and enjoy it.
Definitely, man. Hey, Detroit, just like they said they want to hear about the Pistons, man, continue to have that heart, man. Continue to be people that are upstanding, like our hero over there, Braylon, man. I'm gonna continue to bring it on, man. More than
for sure, let's do this,
more
man.
than a day. But you know what? thank you guys for tapping in today. Continue to support. Make sure you guys hit that like button. And we hope that you have a great rest of your day. For Pete Spivak over there in the TD booth. Man, for the desk up here, and these are elite Michigan men up here, man. Braylon Edwards, Ryan Ermanni, for Tom Mazaway, it's your boy Brandon there, a.k.a. Detroit Kool-Aid. See you guys next time.
Better go, Kool-Aid. Check out Kool-Aid at 8 tomorrow morning. Wake up, Woodward.
Wake up, everybody, no more.